Andrey Pushkar wasn't just strong, he was a storm. From Ukraine to the world stage, he crushed weights as well as opponents with raw, unshakable power, becoming one of the most feared strength athletes and arm wrestlers of his era. But Pushkar's story is more than victories. It's hard work, a rapid rise, a legacy, and a tragedy that froze his legend in time. This is the story of Andrey Pushkar, arm wrestling's fallen giant. Kremenets, Ternopil Oblast, Ukraine during the early 90s. In a converted garage on a quiet street, a pediatric surgeon named Andrey Pushkar turned spare space into a training and weightlifting gym. Children from all over would come here to improve their physical health. And one of them was Anatoly's own son, Andrey. Andrey Pushkar was a boy who clearly had a lot of potential, growing big and strong at a young age. Under the watchful eye of his father and encouraged by action movies featuring Arnold Schwarzenegger, the young Andrey vowed to become a legendary strength athlete. As fate would have it, Andrey suffered from frequent asthma attacks, severely limiting his ability to participate in vigorous exercise. Instead of pulling his son back from physical activities though, his father believed that pushing him harder would lead to him overcoming his asthma diagnosis, something he would put into motion, unknowingly setting Andrey on an inescapable path. Andrey Pushkar started structured arm wrestling and general strength training around age 11, and his father, an avid multi-sport athlete himself, became his first coach. The father and son team had little knowledge of competitive arm wrestling at first, but soon started to become heavily engrossed in the sport, with it quickly becoming a bonding experience for the two. Beyond arm wrestling, he also introduced Andrey to the world of chess, where Andrey Pushkar once became the district champion. Their bond was built on shared values of strength, discipline, and integrity. At just 14, Andrey surpassed his father's strength in arm wrestling. Anatoly, ever supportive, saw this as a sign of his son's potential. Before this time, he often said, "You will only beat me when you become a world champion." Little did the two know at the time though, this prophecy would soon become true several times over. By his late teens, the results were already showing. In the early 2000s, Pushkar would make his debut on the big stage by entering the Ukrainian Nationals. To everybody's surprise, Pushkar won the entire thing, even beating the formidable Alexei Semerenko. This proved to Andrey and his father that he was ready for bigger and better things. At the 2003 European Arm Wrestling Championship in Germany, in the junior plus 78 kg division, Pushkar took silver with both arms. Now being 18 years old, this result on the international stage was the first clear sign that Ukraine had a very promising future super heavyweight on the way. However, in order to deliver on this promise, Pushkar needed to find a way to maintain and improve his already impressive physique. Times weren't easy in the region, and Andrey worked hard to pay for excess in food and training equipment, taking jobs unloading trucks and even digging trenches for huge gas pipes. His goal at this time was clearly to turn his favorite hobby into a job that could provide for him and a potential future family. In 2004, his training seems to have paid off, as he took a first-place medal in the super heavyweight category on the right, beating out the likes of Alexei Voivoda. At the Worlds that year though, Voivoda took the victory over Pushkar in the finals, meaning the still very young Andrey was the de facto number 2 in the world on the right arm already, according to the WAF of course. In reality though, Andrey realized the global scene offered more worthy opponents who could still stand in his way, and his incredible drive and work ethic made sure he wouldn't forget it. 2 years later, he truly broke through on the professional stage, this time at the Nemerov World Cup, aka the Zloty Tour, in 2005, becoming the senior men right plus 95 kg champion and taking 4th on the right in the Opens. This win put his name alongside established stars and set up a run through the sport's premier events that had barely ever been seen before. The following year, now 2006, was a bit of a downturn for the young athlete though, as he unfortunately tore a pectoral muscle, leading to a small stint of recovery. He did meet one athlete from the other side of the world, twice over, who had been making waves in the super heavyweight class for some time now. Travis Bagent and Andrey Pushkar had more in common than perhaps either one would have admitted to. Sure, Travis is generally more exuberant and vocal, and Andrey is generally more stoic and laid back, but both are tall, explosive pullers who rose through the ranks at roughly the same time. On the table, those similarities certainly showed themselves too, as the two athletes had two hard but quick super matches. One in Poland in 2005 and then one other in Dubai in May of 2006, both under the PAL. Travis Bagent won both the super matches, although since every round was over in an instant and Andrey did get some pins in too, it looks like it could have gone either way. Having recovered quickly, 2007 however became a true pivotal point in the young Ukrainian's arm wrestling career. He swept the Zloty Tour on the left arm in the plus 95 kg opens and also won the plus 95 kg right arm category. In the finals of the opens though, he would face someone, in fact one of his idols, who was now entering a phase of his career where he looked even more unbeatable. John Brzenk walked up to the table, perhaps hoping for a real challenge from the young Pushkar. Unfortunately, the dominance of the GOAT was very apparent still, and Andrey ended up losing the match. John recognized the potential of our titular athlete and made sure to let him know, something that undoubtedly meant a great deal to Andrey at the time, seeing that John Brzenk was truly one of his main inspirations. That same season, Pushkar claimed his first World Arm Wrestling Federation world title. In the men's 110 plus kilogram on the right in Veliko Tarnova, Bulgaria. From there, the momentum didn't stop. In 2008, he doubled down at the WAF in Kelowna, in Canada, becoming the plus 110 kilogram left and right world champion. By the time the new decade hit, the now 25-year-old Andrey Pushkar was a real force to be reckoned with on the international arm wrestling scene. The strong Ukrainian was, however, not quite a typical arm wrestler. On the table, during matches, Pushkar made use of his extreme strength and explosiveness, often utilizing a lot of side pressure, and as a result, finishing matches in quick fashion. His opponents often didn't even get a chance to really engage, and even if they did, were faced with a massive amount of resistance, unable to gain any traction themselves. This pattern repeated across the next cycle of World Championships, like in 2010 in Mesquite, Nevada, where Pushkar traveled to the US to win the 110 plus kilogram categories, once again on both arms. Or even in 2011 in Almaty, Kazakhstan, and 2012 in São Vicente in Brazil, where he repeated this feat each time over. Then came the rise of Denis Cyplenkov, another very strong Eastern arm wrestler. The two giants embodied different archetypes. Pushkar, tall and explosive with devastating side pressure, and Cyplenkov, shorter but thicker with legendary hand and wrist strength. Their duels became a storyline all on its own. At Nemerov 2011, for example, Cyplenkov outmuscled Pushkar in the plus 95 kg right-hand finals. But Andrey struck back with wins in the left-hand categories, including in the prestigious Opens. Each man took something from the other, and the balance of power between them kept onlookers and fans guessing year after year. It was, in a way, a snapshot of arm wrestling of the era. Pushkar versus the very best, trading wins at the absolute top of the sport. However, just like most athletes at the top of the elites, Pushkar's record was not without its ups and downs. In 2012, Pushkar would face an opponent with a style unlike anyone he had ever faced. The American Michael Todd won their PAL super match, 6-0 on the right arm, seemingly tiring Andrey out with his signature King's move, and eventually taking the clear upper hand, proving that there was still a lot to improve for the Ukrainian rising star, especially endurance-wise, something Andrey would start working on diligently. Talking about endurance though, in 2013, Pushkar faced Devon Larratt at the PAL arm fight number 42. The event pitted the reigning North American star against Europe's super heavyweight king in what was deemed by the PAL to be a world title bout. Larratt eventually managed to edge Pushkar on the left arm, but not until after Pushkar handled the lanky Canadian relatively easily during the first phases of the match, quickly tiring out in the process. By the end of the match, Devon defeated the powerful Ukrainian in dominant fashion. Later that same day, Andrey would get rid of his frustrations because of losing on the left by beating a strong Tim Brzenk on the right arm 5-1. While Andrey's supermatch record during this time is impressive, it's certainly not unblemished. It's important to emphasize that his true dominance and talent was situated in tournament pulling. Pushkar's golden era wasn't defined by a single tournament though, it was a reign stretched across several years and continents. At the European Championships, he became almost untouchable, sweeping both arms in the super heavyweight class year after year. From 2011 to 2013, he sat firmly on top of Europe as a consequence. By 2013, he had nothing left to prove at the World Arm Wrestling Federation and turned his full attention to a more professional stage. That stage, of course, was the Nemiroff World Cup, also known as the Zloty Tour. In 2011, Pushkar shocked the arm wrestling world, taking the left-hand absolute crown over Denis Cyplenkov as well as Travis Bagent, staking his claim as the #1 left-hander alive. A year later, in 2012, he pulled off the seemingly impossible 4 titles in a single tournament. Super heavyweight and the absolute class, left and right arm. A clean sweep, a feat only reserved for true dominant arm wrestlers. He would repeat that dominance again in 2015, proving it wasn't just a one-time miracle. From 2010 onwards, Pushkar claimed 12 Zloty golds, 8 of those in the absolute division, more than any other Zloty athlete in history. And when he stepped outside of the Premier League at that time, he was just as lethal. At the A1 Russian Open in 2014, Pushkar defeated Denis Cyplenkov on the right arm, a match that officially gave him the world's #1 right-hand ranking too. He also added multiple Lotoshino titles, a big tournament in itself, and even the 2018 Moldova Open absolute champion to his resume, adding what was already one of the most decorated careers the sport had ever seen. With all this recognition and a legacy that was growing with every tournament won, Andrey never forgot about his roots and decided to give back in some small way to the community that made him great in the first place. By this time, his father, Anatoly, had unfortunately passed on, and Andrey was keen to pick up where his father had left off. He not only opened up his own home gym to emerging talents,
Welcome in my gym.
but the athlete returned to his father's gym too, dubbed the Pushkar Gym, and helped in renovating it completely. His presence there also rallied new, oftentimes young members to join the gym, teaching them basic strength and fitness training, but also introducing them to the sport of arm wrestling. Using his educational degree in sports training, Andrey became a true driving force for many of the region's future arm wrestling prodigies. In 2015, Andrey got another chance to arm wrestle in the USA, this time in Las Vegas, as the PAL was setting up to get a bigger foothold on the Western arm wrestling market. As his opponent this time, the Leviathan Richard Lupkes was chosen. Richard was an incredibly strong arm wrestler who already had a storied career, but what he felt that day even surprised him.
During the fight, first match, I tried to load up with Andrey, and I have never felt something like that. I mean, the man is so incredibly strong. It was a little bit scary. I've arm wrestled a lot of strong people over my 40-year career, and Andrey is by far the strongest I have ever felt.
In 2016, yet another Eastern puller had solidified for himself a spot to try and dethrone Andrey. Dmitry Trubin met our titular arm wrestler on the table at the Zloty Tour finals. Andrey won in convincing fashion though, going 5-1 on the right arm, proving that he was still at the top of the rankings. In order to even get there, he had beaten all the top talent of the day, especially at the Zloty Tour, including, but not limited to, a young Vitaly Laletin. In November of 2017, Andrey would even get the chance to avenge his supermatch loss to Michael Todd years earlier. He did so, clearly having figured out some way to effectively arm wrestle versus Michael's King's move, defeating him 4-2 on the right arm. Pushkar's experience, ever-growing strength, and technical arsenal seemed to be paying off dividends, as the now 32-year-old was clearly reaching new peaks and was solidifying his #1 spot in the world. It seemed nothing could stop the ascendancy of this stoic Ukrainian athlete, and the arm wrestling world was waiting with bated breath to see what he would do next. On November 14th, 2018, Andrey Pushkar set out on a trip that should have been routine. Alongside his close friend Oleg Zok and Oleg's father, he was on his way through Rivne Oblast, heading towards the airport. The plan was simple: fly to Poland, step onto the stage of the PAL All-Stars Vendetta, and face Denis Cyplenkov, his biggest rival at the time, in one of the most anticipated matches of his entire career. But the match would never come. Somewhere on the Kiev-Chop highway, their Citroën collided with a truck. The crash was catastrophic. Andrey Pushkar and Oleg's father passed on instantly. Jacques survived, but was in critical condition and would spend days in a coma before waking to the reality that his father and one of his closest friends and mentors was gone. Pushkar was only 33 years old, a reigning champion, a national hero, a husband, and by now a father to a young boy himself. News of his unfortunate passing spread quickly, from Kremenets to Moscow to Las Vegas, and for the arm wrestling world, it was like time stopped. Messages poured in from rivals as well as teammates alike, all repeating the same truth: the sport had lost not only a true champion, but also one of its most genuine and kind souls. The tournament Pushkar was supposed to attend that year went on without him, but every match felt different. Denis Cyplenkov, the man he was meant to face, dedicated his victory and the championship belt to Pushkar's memory. For many, it was the only fitting way to honor him. A symbol of the clash that never happened and of the giant who left the world arm wrestling stage too soon. Even now, years later, the void is still felt. Pushkar's death was more than the loss of an athlete. It was the silencing of a presence, a warmth, and a strength that had inspired not just his country, but the entire arm wrestling community worldwide. The spirit of Andrey Pushkar endures in every corner of Pushkar Gym and the arm wrestling world as a whole. His passion for the sport is still felt in many arm wrestlers he inspired and even directly trained. Perhaps Andrey's wife, Svetlana, puts it best. Strength, resilience, honesty, and simplicity. These are the traits of the Pushkars, and I will pass them on to our son. Thank you for watching this video, and make sure to like and subscribe if you want to see more of this. Also a major shout out to all the Armians and Finger folks. I greatly appreciate your continued support. Until next time, Arm Historian out.